So guys, you hopefully all knew this stuff, and if you didn't, we taught you, and we are now into the game. The blue team, Gamers 2, looking to make their way into the top 8. I guess you can consider it in some way like a Challenger super team, because these guys kind of got handpicked, Ocelot, put a squad together. He's the Froggen of Challenger. I don't know if that's a good title or not.
Let's hope it goes better than the first week went for Alliance's European super team.
Fair.
Yeah, because they don't get a chance to go 0-4 here. 0-1, and they're out.
It's true. So here we go, guys. JWoww moving up towards the top lane. You did call it right. That is top lane Riven and top lane Trundle. That is a matchup we're seeing from both of these teams right here. And we're just starting out with the standard battle lines drawn. Everyone runs up to the river and says, I can see you. Don't step forward.
Yeah. I want teams to really take it upon themselves to do more creative things at level 1, because I think there's a lot of room with the new trinket systems.
Yeah, and actually the one thing I see, because I remember Cloud9's first loss in the summer split was to CLG, because they all stood on top of a ward, and then one of them recalled. And so CLG engaged a 5v4 and dumpstered them. If you want to invade, you can invade with a red trinket. Make sure the brush you stand on is not warded, and then you know that you're safe in your invade. I feel like that's the adaptation I would see in a couple months when people start playing more aggressive level 1s.
I think that could absolutely happen, but unfortunately for us here, no red trinkets. There's 3 Doran Shields. We've been seeing more and more of Doran Shields openings. I believe one of the Challenger games we had yesterday also had triple Doran Shield opening. And, oh, what? Careful.
Oh, almost got that one. Ward doesn't go down, though. Civilian's still waiting around on the side. And just the trinket ward's coming across. Everyone's got fairly sort of vision-full openings here. And no crazy explosions. So, standard 2-on-2 lane down at the bottom. Yasuo opening up Doran's shield to survive the Orianna here in mid. And looks like it's going to be Riven giving Shyvana a bit of help, and Trundle giving Xin Zhao a bit of help. So, interestingly enough, top lane starts for the junglers.
Yeah, so they're going to be swiping down to the bottom lane, most likely. Very rarely you'll see a level 2 gank. Definitely much less here in the 2014 season, since the kill bounties in the first 2 minutes of the game are less than once you get to 4 minutes. But there could be a bit of a collision course down bottom or in the mid lane once these junglers get going a little bit.
I guess I'm curious to see, because Shyvana's not always the best ganker, but you know, as far as a counter gank goes, with a red buff, it's really not too bad. You run quick enough on that champion. Xin Zhao, definitely a champion where the impetus is on him to make things happen.
Shyvana generally just farms or counter ganks, but I want to talk about Yasuo's laning phase a little bit, because I think it's worth mentioning. His level 1 and 2 and 3 are really strong, mainly because once you've done 4 of your E-dashes in a short period of time, it basically does double damage to what it would beforehand.
Yeah. And
that combined with his Q is just a ridiculous amount of level 2 trading potential.
Yep.
But then there's a point in the mid game where he doesn't have the itemization to really have a lot of damage, and he's basically a squishy dude that is actually very vulnerable to ganks and getting shut down. It's like a very strong first couple levels, dip in the mid game, and a very strong late game for Yasuo.
So here we are in these first 3 levels, and he's trading up pretty much equally to Ocelot. He's down 1 minion in a melee versus range matchup, but he has got Ginsu off on the side. Can he get the dash on going? And he does have actually the knockup as well from his Yasuo Q, but he's not going to go for it. Ocelot navigates that pretty successfully.
Yeah. Oh, and if only Exile could have landed that Q3, as we like to call it, because his first 2 Qs don't have the tornado on it, and then the third one would. It would have been able to chain well with his Xin Zhao gank. Instead, it just wasted a bit of time.
Oh, well, nothing happens there. They do get vision. And Morden, actually, former Giants member, going to look forward to the top lane. He says, you know what? Never mind. Nothing to see here at all. JWoww shoves his top lane, actually, and looks like these lanes all mostly just trading farm basically equally. Another fight in here. Look at that damage from Exile, actually. Wow, Ocelot down to half. Only 1 potion left, and there's a fight on in. Barrier popped by Ocelot, and no follow-up damage from Exile.
Yeah, but he didn't have to burn Ignite. So as soon as he got the barrier, he started becoming... he just knew he'd won that one and decided to disengage. This is, team composition-wise, a very good lane for Yasuo to start off in, because the gank pressure from Shyvana is very low, and he should be able to play very aggressively.
Wow, and JWoww, speaking of playing aggressively, forced away by Mozilla, burns the Ignite for it. Both these players, actually, in fact. And now just the flash for Riven, but no sustain on her, just the Doran Shield.
Yeah, we actually have a top lane for the first time in a while that isn't just a bunch of super tanks fighting against each other. This isn't our Nasus versus Mundo. Those guys are going to fight, and often.
It definitely did. Good job by Mozilla getting the trade out there. He was slightly behind in minions and turned that one. Now the fight in. Good play onto 2. Dashed away by the Lucian. He gets away from that one pretty well. And dude's going to be fine. Okay.
Yeah, really slow early game, but that's mostly what we expected with standard lanes, especially since the jungler's early ganks didn't really merit them much success. Surprisingly, though, the Shyvana has not farmed too powerfully. Morden should get a bit more farming in, since that is his advantage over Ginsu.
Oh, Ginsu's already looking for another gank right here. Has a Thresh as well to lantern him in if he wants it. Shyvana took time to back for boots and a Spirit Stone and is on the wrong side of the map right here. So it looks like Ginsu walks through reward, doesn't gain anything at all. He's actually kind of wasting some time. Shyvana's finally scaling out through him. Not a hook right there. So yeah, Team Kappa Prime not quite finding what they're looking for. Exile still holding up his mid lane. And the one thing I wanted to point out, actually, was the bottom lane, because we talked about advantages. DU did start with a GP10 on Leona, and has taken 3 minions so far, given them over to his teammate. And that's going to be just like some sort of subtle GP10 that starts floating in to this Gamers 2 lineup. It's going to help them scale.
Yeah, I think Dude needs to start getting a few more shares with that Targon's Brace. Early on, they're actually losing the lane a bit more than they would want to. I like that choice overall, though. They just have to make sure they get the cannon minions and they do not fall behind. There's a big aggression, though. That's a dangerous dash in.
It's a pretty good amount of damage. There's Villian down to half HP, but Yuki has no mana to follow up, so 6 now in control of the lane here. Onto Thresh. Dude still losing health. Nice slow there from Civilian. Another play comes in, forcing the flash, trading the ignite there onto Dude. He's going to be down to about 120 and survive this one.
Yeah, they went in on top of a big minion wave, and that is almost never a good idea. And then also, Yuki had to use his Lucian dash to engage and did not have it for a disengage, which just put them in some bad situations overall. Not a smart move by Dude to go in there.
Morden's actually lurking around to the sides right there, but he's just clearing double golem, so no further gank pressure, nothing really crazy happening for these guys. Just a couple of fights that are starting, but not really turning into much.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these teams as we're going to move towards what's probably going to be a fairly decisive mid-game team fight phase in this one, and I think the heavily melee-focused style of TKP might actually hurt them a little bit. Shyvana's going to have a lot of power there as they go and try to gank Exile.
It's a good shockwave, but Exile's going to dash away, but there comes the Dragon Form. Flashes to not take damage from it, and he's going to survive this one, but of course did lose his flash for that privilege.
I mean, this is at least the moment in the game where Gamers 2 wants to start ganking Yasuo, and that's the first step we see towards it.
There we go. Okay, so no flash. They could try again when Ocelot's ulti is back from cooldown. Morden, still a dragon, going to start this blue buff for Ocelot, so he's nice and happy. And this mid lane, though, I'm surprised, or I guess impressed, I should say, by Exile. He's not really behind in minions whatsoever. Range versus melee matchup, it usually tends to be difficult when you don't have any tools in range. And he's just like completely holding up, not missing anything.
Yeah, exactly. When we saw Yasuo picked for the second time in Europe today, they said we just kept lane swapping Yasuo to try and get him out of the laning phase because they generally think it's weak in the mid game. It's going to be very telling now knowing that Ocelot got his blue buff and Yasuo just has to rely on his flow and his little bits of shields to stay alive, whether he falls behind in this lane because he's got a bit of an edge right now.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. And we look around at the other lanes and pretty standard openings, I guess I would say. Both AD carries actually going for the BF sword early on, so not Trinity Force Lucian here. That's going to be fine, though. It's a plenty powerful build right there. And, of course, the top lane, as you talked about them not going super tank, and it is Riven saying Doran's Blade, Longsword. I'm going to be the standard damage build for Riven here. But Mozilla is going Chain Vest to fight him.
Yeah, Trundle's the one that wants to stack resistances. Trundle will also do very well if he can finish a Randwinds or a Sunfire Cape, because based on the fact that Trundle's ultimate steals resists, he actually scales a lot better off of health than other champions in the game do.
And I wonder if he can ever target the Leona, too. This is a big pinata
right
of stats.
as the W is on, exactly.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty glorious. We'll see if Mozilla can do that. We'll track that throughout this game. And so we're waiting for the matchup. Actually, Jat, I don't know if you know this one. Does it calculate? Oh, okay, good. Right. Did you know? I know at least some abilities, they'll track the second they cast, like percent armor MR steal. If Leona's W ends, does it keep the same values, or does it update?
I do know this one, actually.
Okay.
I'll tell you right after this fight.
Now Mozilla pops ulti to try to survive this fight. JWoww does the same. Mozilla flashed out, and the wind slash does not land. So, trades ultis, low health on both.
Nice juke. There's also maybe a 3v3 brewing in the bottom lane. We have a lot of action about to happen in this one. I swear to God, I'm going to tell you the answer to that Trundle question. All right,
see what they can do.
The Trundle Ooh, there's an ultimate flying up top.
Uh-oh.
Is it going to go?
Oh! Wow, that was close.
J-Wow?
Yes.
You were
It's too
trying
obvious
to do
before.
it. All right. So Trundle's ultimate
Yeah.
will take half of the... It steals half of the resistances up front, or they might have changed it a little bit, but the mechanic stays the same. And then as it steals more resistances, it will keep them. So if Leona has like 100 armor and half of it got stolen away, when she loses that armor, she can actually go into negative armor.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough.
Can happen.
Good luck, dude. Good luck with that one, buddy. Orta's looking down to the bottom lane here. No, it's their turn for a 3v2 here, Gamers 2. But they don't find much with it. So, yeah, we've seen these guys making moves, trying the ganks and starting fights, but none of them have turned into kills just yet. Even the flash that got burned from Exile, 2/3 of the way back up, hasn't gotten punished for having no flash just yet. Just had the farm. Dude gets caught up there. There's the lane coming back as well. And here comes Xin Zhao to jump in onto Dude. A lot of health missing on there. And First Blood comes in, picked up by the jungler for TKP. There's the opening.
That felt a little too easy. After 11 minutes of almost nothing happening, they just decided to get the gank. They could tell Dude was playing a little bit over-aggressive, and they just capitalized on... I think he had a tell of every time he could land that Zenith Blade, he was going for it. And it just backfired. That's the second Zenith Blade he's mistakenly gone in on. This one cost him his life.
Yeah, and he was missing flash from that engage you called really crazy a while ago when there was a big minion wave there. So capitalizing just in the last 5 minutes of that one. Now he's got the flashback, so Dude would have lived if that happened 30 seconds later. But there we go. The top laners not moving, just 6 minions apart. Mid laners only 5 apart right here. But Morden, he's waiting around to the wings, waiting for that gank to come up again.
They're trying to get the counter gank. They do have the Leona ultimate this time, and there's no box available for Thresh. So this one, if he went in aggressively, could actually work regardless of the counter gank.
That lands a stun, gets it onto Vanilli, and it's going to be a bit of damage, but no follow-up. Dude gets hit by a Flame Chomper.
A, he got hit by the Flame Chomper, and B, he decided not to Zenith Blade because based on the Thresh's reaction, he knew there was Xin Zhao in that brush, and he didn't want to go into it.
Oh, man. So good read, at least by Dude, to not think around. There comes the Lantern. Anyway, they're going to go for it. Hook does land onto Dude, and this could be dangerous. Xin Zhao ulti popped as well. The percent armor shred from Xin Zhao also helping a bit right there. And now Yuki's going to go back in on this fight. Culling comes across, half HP on everyone from Kappa Prime, but that might not be enough. Gamers 2, no follow-up.
Yeah, as soon as he got his flashback, Dude had to lose it once again. Farm-wise, they're actually doing quite well in this lane because even though it seems like Lucian is down in farm, we got to remember the shared CS with Leona's Targon. So gold-wise, extremely close despite there being 2 assists on the other side.
Yeah, well played then by these guys on G2 to keep themselves in the game. Only 300 gold the deficit for it would have been 450 for a kill and an assist right there. Dragon does go down successfully, but the team is here. The 4v4 has begun. Also in the mix of it, and there's the knockup. Does some good damage, but there's the shockwave. Picks up 1. 6 going to go down. 2 for 1 so far in Gamers 2 favor, but Exile still in the fight. Puts up the wind wall. Doesn't get much out of it, though. Dude still getting attacked. Exile forced to try to run. No, he's going to try to fight. Won't get enough. 3 for 1 fight, plus a Dragon. Gamers 2 coming up huge.
Ocelot, big-time mid-game team fight right there. Even though Yasuo got the combo ult, this is the point in the game where he's very weak. He had a Zeal going into that fight. Ocelot had a lot of mana and a Nidsi large rod, and just watch the relatively low impact of Yasuo in this fight versus how much Ocelot was actually able to put out. So Ocelot finished someone off with his ultimate, and then the speed and the shields he's providing through the rest of this just don't allow Exile to do much damage. He's doing his best to fancily dash around, but he wasn't really doing that much damage.
No, he wasn't. He managed to block 2 total auto attacks with his wind wall. That was all he got out of that ability. No Ocelot balls blocked, anything like that. Also getting his blue buff again. And I also want to point out, as we're talking about Ocelot a little bit here after a good team fight, tier into Zhonya's his item build.
That is, in my opinion, the best thing for an Orianna to build against attack damage mid laners.
Yeah.
Because Orianna has the mana needs that oftentimes make her go Athene's Unholy Grail, but you do not want to do that against physical damage, so you go 1 Doran's or 2 into tier.
Oh, whiffed flash right there, but the engage comes in anyway. Look at the burst damage. Ocelot gonna go down regardless. Goodbye. Guess he wish he had Zhonya's that time.
Yeah, he's not quite there yet. It would have been very useful to have as the knockups were coming towards him. Well-executed gank right there by Xin and Yasuo. They're going to want to do much more of that to stop Ocelot from getting out of control here and to maybe make Yasuo get a little bit out of control.
And now that he's finally got Static Shiv, he'll do quite a bit more as these fights come on in. Bottom lane, we're kind of back to the farm state right here, and it seems that these guys are mirroring each other pretty nicely. The only difference being that Dude seems to have gotten a free Relic Shield and has pretty similar items otherwise.
Yeah, that's why I like Relic Shield as an item. I think it's a definitely underbought item for supports. I think the gold share it has provides too much utility, and also the stats on it are very strong once you get a couple upgrades. It's an extreme amount of health regen if you ever do finish it into that face of the mountain.
Well, we're going to see some players do like to go face the mountain. Some I've seen will get that item for laning and sell it and go Talisman of Ascension. Yeah, but it's actually 6 going towards the Talisman route. Sightstone's done, and he's like, all right, Ancient Coin, I'll start getting more gold. We'll move in from there. Ocelot on farm duty right now has the zone he's completed. So we're seeing some of the builds start to come through. Morden looking for the top lane. Ooh, Mozilla, can he get away from this one? Red buff is on. Stun comes in. Ulti popped as well from Riven. Is there enough chase? Looks like not enough for Gamers 2.
Yeah, with the Sunfire Cape on Mozilla right now, he is somewhat of an unmovable brick there. I thought something was going to happen in the bottom lane, because if that zap would have landed, Yuki would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it would have been pretty rough for him. He's going to be all right. However, the Xin Zhao has come down here. They know there's no one to roam over here unless Ocelot makes his way quickly. 3 versus 2. Gitsu still looking for his way in. Decides, you know what? Maybe I'll just zone you out. No, it's going to be the jump in from Dude, but why? There's no one there to help him just yet. The fight comes across. Yuki now getting attacked. Dude alone in the back line, but here comes Ocelot. Yeah, maybe, but not yet in time. Okay, Dude has fallen. Now another 2v3. Gamers 2 wants this one, though. Shockwave does land. Ginsu gonna fall down. That is a trade kill. Yuki picking up a blue buff.
Barely able to get something back. It did seem like Dude was on a different page than the rest of his team, and they are able to salvage what I think is a 1-for-1 out of that, and the game remains very close.
It absolutely does, and so Gamers 2 making a good rotation as well as Morden held the mid lane strong to not allow the turret to go down to exile, and just holds it for Ocelot to get back here. So that's another one of the big things we see from amateur teams is, do they make rotations well? Do they leave lanes vacant when one goes to gank? Does someone hold it? That happened here at least. They got Mozilla into that lane, kept it alive.
Ocelot has done a lot of practice with the rest of this team too. Gamers 2 is very, very together as a team considering they're so new. But honestly, Team Kappa Prime is with them punch for punch. All these guys came out of ranked 5s. This, remember, was a 10-seed team on EUS that made it through their first round, and now they're up against a team that should be heavy favorites against them and playing quite well.
Doing a very good job. Everyone holding up still in minions, and that's always the one thing to keep in mind. These gold scores not very apart. Really, it's a dragon on one side, a turret on the other. Everything else really holding fast. 600 gold separating these teams, and I'm just going to kind of keep watching the Yasuo. Already actually a bit of a divergence in build. The normal build we see is Static Shiv Eye Edge. Yeah. He's got a long sword here. I'm guessing maybe Vamp Scepter, or is it like some kind of armor pen item?
It could build in a Last Whisper, but I would expect it to be a Vamp Scepter. Ocelot's putting a lot of harass down on him, and he needs to be able to have a bit of an extending laning phase, or at least lifesteal up in some team fights. Okay,
so that's going to be the read we're looking for right now. And so far, yeah, he has not been the one to make a lot of roaming plays that I've seen. At least not compared to Ocelot, who I feel like has made more movements right here.
They want to gank. They want to tower dive JWoww here.
I'm looking for it. JWoww dropped very low. Look at that. The Trundle. No, sorry. That was Trundle Pillar, right? Trundle Pillar, or did he land a Q across a wall? It couldn't have been the Q. There's nothing hit.
I want to replay this guy. We'll see if we're able to get one because, I mean, the Trundle Pillar technically displaces a little bit, but he could have done his Tornado Q through the wall and also seen it. It all happened so fast.
I don't think he could have charged the Q because it would have fallen off by then. What could he, unless he was doing it off of the white?
Must have been Trundle Pillar.
Trundle Pillar. So there's an extra one we didn't think about. There we go.
Well, he's already on top of him.
And he's dead. Good job. All right.
Yeah.
Definitely took him down.
That has to be what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the Q.
So I did say 38 champions. Trundle's one of them.
There we go.
Must be. Maybe it's 39. I did not think that would happen, but it makes sense because any displacement will let him put his ultimate down.
We'll do it. So there we go. The only guy who's not helping, Jinx. Should have been Draven.
And he's only able to do that if you pillar right on top of someone, therefore pushing them off the spot.
Yeah. Really pinpoint accuracy there. So happy things right there. There we go. Dragon actually going to Gamers 2 the second time now, actually. They are undefeated in Dragons 2-0 on that one, despite giving up that kill to Exile on the top lane. Good flash by Ginsu, but JWoww not done with this one. Charging on forward. Can they get the damage that they need? One more attack. Actually, still had Wind Slash, I thought.
But he used it fairly early on in that one.
Okay.
And just wasn't able to finish it off. That had to be what happened.
Yeah, okay, so nothing too big picked up there. The Toronto does, of course, go down, and G2 still looking for the push on mid.
Yeah, that was a good turnaround right there by G2. They ate the dive in the top lane and then decided to take actions into their own hands right here, push down the mid turret really strongly.
There we go. Mid lane turret does go down 2-3 in turrets now. JWoww also getting the red buff still up in the top lane, so they lost a finger and took an arm. Basically,
Ooh.
one champ went down. Actually, a turret as well. To be fair, they left like more like a hand and took an arm.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna make the same comparison. I'm glad you corrected yourself.
Yes,
that's a pretty important thing. Yeah, so it does look like. I'm not sure where Yasuo was going with this. I think he had the gold for the BF sword, and he's still sitting on the long sword, which will later turn into a Vamp Scepter. That's my guess on this one. They're
maybe
trying to counter push
Bloodthirster
right now.
puts the wind wall down, protects the team actually very successfully. Actually, that'll block anything that Orianna tries to do. It stops the ball dead.
Yeah, it doesn't destroy the ball, but any living thing in the game will stop on the wind wall instead of going. So like if Fizz were to ult through it, the fish would just stop on the wind wall. And then if someone walked over it, it would still work.
Okay, so careful about that. Don't run through your own wind wall. You'll die to Fizz anyway.
Yeah.
Careful on that one, guys. Here we go. Mozilla back in the split push in the top lane. He's actually done, I would say, pretty well for himself, I suppose. They've been, it's like the last game. The top laners are like isolated. They come down like once every 30 minutes, and then they just stay there fighting, and nothing happens to these guys.
Yeah, it's a little bit true. But I definitely think that Mozilla has done a great job on Trundle so far, withstanding Riven, who's supposed to be that early game bully in the lane against what Trundle had to get through that early laning phase. And now that he has, once his Blade of the Ruined King is finished, I think he's going to be a bit of an unstoppable force in teamfights.
I'll see if he can do it there. He's definitely past the river and still wants to push in. In fact, his mid laner on Yasuo is coming in from back as well. I don't know if they're baiting a counter gank or if he really wants to force JWoww. They could do it again with the pillar, I suppose.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it again.
I know. It's going to happen.
It's too cool to not see again. Nope, nothing happening. JWoww saw something was wrong here and said, you know what, I'm going to leave this one alone. Might have seen Yasuo with the River Ward a little while ago. Actually, I got to point out, G2 has a lot of ward coverage. The top jungle has about 3 peppered throughout it. The bottom jungle has 3 as well, even though it's their own jungle. And they've even got a little bit of vision on the enemy blue buff.
Take a look at this. There's a Ruby Sightstone finished on Dude, plus 2 wards still in inventory, plus everyone with the yellow trinket. So that is a lot of potential wards, and they're littering them fairly scattered across the map. I think they've actually overwarded their own red, and they could have more of those wards on the rest of the map, because their own red is not a point that is getting contested right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like the bottom inhibs under like major seed pressure yet or anything, even though that inhib's important in general, just not at 22.5 minutes maybe. Gamers 2, they're grouping up towards the top side of the map. Again, that jungle has just been rewarded actually on their way across this one, so a ton of vision, and they know that they're not getting flanked right now.
This game's getting really interesting right here. Let's see if Morden overchecks this brush, because TKP has taken so many early turrets, but now Gamers 2 is really pushing back, and it's giving them a little bit of that gold lead. I also think it's a time in the game where Yasuo doesn't quite have his items, but Ocelot does have that Zhonya's. So if the fights go out like evenly, I think Gamers 2 would actually take the advantage here.
We'll see if they find that advantage right there. Again, a lot of them can trigger the Yasuo ulti if they wanted to go for it anyway. Gamers 2, though, still definitely the team looking for the siege. Orianna just only with the tier for mana regen, so it's not going to come back nearly as quickly. But he's got a big pool.
And the wave clear for Team Kappa Prime here is very lackluster. It is just Jinx who's going to try and get these down with the static shiv. It's because they have melees in both solo lanes and the jungle, so it's actually quite a siegeable turret for Gamers 2.
Yeah, so far Villian doing a decent enough job at killing these minions away, but definitely it's kind of just on him. As you mentioned, that's really the case here. Gamers 2 going back through the jungle. Red buff not spawning for a little bit more. Looks like the mid lane's going to be their target for a bit more time, and they're setting up a trap here almost. No, never mind, just more ward coverage. No traps. Gamers 2 realized the top lane push wasn't quite working. They switched to mid, but Dude's recalling, so they're just sweeping minions and leaving.
Yeah. Right now, Gamers 2 needs to kind of rethink about how they're going to try and close out this game, because they're in a position where they could make their move, but I think if they're stagnant for too long, there's a lot of snowball potential on the other side. Jinx in particular. A lot of people don't think of her like a reset champion, but because of the get it decided passive, if teamfights do start going wrong, late game Jinx cleans up.
Oh, it's brutal.
I seriously think Jinx is the type of hyper carry late game like a Tristana, maybe even more.
Wow.
Only because the AoE 700 range rockets on max item Jinx plus the resetting move speed and all her long range poke for executes, like that ultimate is literally a global AoE Garnal as far as execute goes.
Yeah.
And damage-wise, it is an extremely powerful skill. And if Jinx gets to late game, no matter what the rest of the team is, even if Xin Zhao doesn't scale crazily, even if they are all melee, that danger exists. And I think Gamers 2 needs to make sure that they don't let it get to that point. And Ocelot uses his power spike right now because he just finished his Rabadon's Death Cap.
But speaking of power spikes, though, Exile sold his longsword and did pick up the Infinity Edge. So it was like,
jeez,
it was a misnomer longsword. He's like, I had 360 gold, screw it. But the dive comes in. Do they find anything? The knockup does land. They find 2. The shockwave lands on 2 as well. The damage coming across Exile dropped dangerously low. Mozilla's going to take down Morden. 2 kills so far, and Jinx has gotten excited. Will they get more? Now that's the question. Mozilla flashes for a Q slow. JWoww getting stopped up, and Exile does go down. Wow, JWoww picks up 2. They pick up 3, and Gamers 2 are not done with this fight. 6 forced to flash. He misses the flash, though. That's going to be a dead Thresh, almost definitely. There it is. 4 for 2. What a comeback in a fight.
Huge fight. It looked like a bad start because they did the Trundle Pillar to Yasuo ult initiation once again, but the Riven was mostly untouched right there. It allowed JWoww to just wreak havoc on the rest of the team. Let's take a look at this. So very cool. Confirmed. Trundle Pillar puts it up. And then, since it was such a strange start to the fight, it seemed like TKP were just going to take it because it looked like a 5v3 at this point, but look at how low they are, and then also look how JWoww came in from the back. So Xin Zhao dashed to his death at that point, and it was just the flank, I believe, from Gamers 2 that really created the advantage they needed in that fight.
Yeah, the fight started out with like 2 kills that they kind of squeaked through with and ran away with no HP. And it was like really that Riven cleanup that made that one happen. Of course, fights going on in the top of the map as well. Vanillion forced to run back from this one. Gamers 2, they keep making it look like, oh man, we're behind, and then turning it. The beginning of the game, lost the first few kills, turned it. Dragon fight the same way, this fight the same way. Gamers 2 looking really good as far as team fights are concerned.
Definitely turned in their favor on that last fight. And, you know, a little bit of golden efficiency right there by Exile's Yasuo, reselling that longsword. I believe he also had a Dorn's Blade in there somewhere that he got rid of. I could have sworn he had one. Maybe I'm just seeing things, but no lifesteal definitely hurts with how long these team fights are going on for him. He wanted the Infinity Edge so he could get that 90% crit and take advantage of his double crit from his passive, but it cost him, and look at that. Jeez. He can't get that health back without a Vamp Scepter.
Yep, that's a QW just from Ocelot. Got him to half HP right there. Yasuo, did you know, Yasuo, one of the few melee champions who doesn't get MR per level. So he's focusing on its itemization, runes, and masteries that catch him up there. So he's, probably 42 from flat MR blues. That'd be my guess.
Yep. AKA not that much.
No.
And it means Ocelot hits him for that much.
Yes. So pain in the future here for Yasuo. He's, of course, forced to recall and come back into this one. We're seeing the siege begin again. Ocelot with a blue buff this time. Plenty of CDR and mana regen. And it's a scary siege right here, honestly. The Yasuo engage, I feel like it's weird to engage with like a squishy melee guy. It's working, but there's the fight again. The dive on in, the rocket coming by as well. Windwall helping a little bit as well. No damage coming out from Yuki whatsoever. The shockwave might just be enough. There's 1 kill traded back and forth. 2 kills so far for Gamers 2. Morden in the front lines. He's going to survive a little bit more with the shield, but get excited for his Vanillion. Can he find another one? Ocelot, one attack. Gets that one. Double kill for Jinx. Can they keep on going? DU's got nowhere to go. Triple kill here for Vanillion. Ugh.
Wow, Freak. These fights come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Trundle Pillar has such crazy range, and the fact that Yasuo just initiates right on top of them, then Xin Zhao flies in and separates them again, actually gives them the safety of initiating with Yasuo.
Yeah.
Because he goes in for the damage, and then Xin Zhao breaks them apart, and the fight just has to start after that. So all those melees actually work together in the craziest sense. Pillar, Chain, and then Xin Zhao. Let's watch how it worked this time, because I swear it happened. Mozilla, Pillar, and immediately Yasuo goes on top of it. But then they pop the Talisman, Xin Zhao comes in from behind.
Look at that wind wall.
And splits them up. So that's how Exile was able to stay safe. Also, exactly, the wind wall stopped Ocelot from getting the ball exactly where he wanted to in that fight. That was a very pretty fight at the best possible time for Team Kappa Prime.
And of course, the entire time you called it the late game hyper carry of Jinx, untouched.
We're not even at the late game. That's the crazy thing.
But she had the early lead. Actually, no, she was actually behind in lane the almost entire time, had less gold every time we saw the kill scores. But getting a triple kill in that fight, she's on 3 items. She's pretty much there as far as an AD carry is concerned. You only typically add one more offensive item.
Absolutely, 4 offensive items. The Infinity Edge will be the last one.
Yeah.
Takes a little while to get to the Infinity Edge, but I see where we're going for this. And a Guardian Angel is now being worked on for Exile. He's not caring about the lifesteal. They have to dodge poke very heavily. But, I mean, after that, the fear must be in gamers too, knowing that if a pillar hits, Yasuo's on top of them.
Yeah, and it's a new thing to think about too. Like, you think about like Malphite or Orianna, you're like, okay, we got to split up. Like, don't get wombo comboed. Hey, split up for the Trundle pillar.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's actually a pretty small area. And he managed to get the AD carry, I believe it was the AD carry mid laner, with the Trundle Yasuo combo. Now you've got to make sure you're always far enough away to not get Trundle Yasuo'd.
Yeah. I've never seen something like this before.
No, me either.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely catching gamers to off guard substantially. This was not a synergy we actually considered when we saw the picks and bans.
Not in the slightest, but it's pretty freaking awesome. I'm a fan of this one, I gotta say. The other point I actually kind of think is interesting is you talked about Jinx as well. The team is... Hold on, they're gonna get fought.
It could happen so fast is the thing. Ocelot knows how squishy Zavilion is, and also Exile. And here comes the other side.
The catch onto the Jinx. Where comes the wind wall? Shotgun's going to land onto one. Exile not in a good spot at all. Ginsu dropped low as well. And there's the jump in on from Yasuo. Rocky coming by as well. JWoww still alive, though no one has died yet. It's going to be a big fight. Exile trades in a double kill for his life. And this is a good start to the fight. Excitement there for Jinx. The pillar in as well. That's going to make a lot of things happy. Dude goes down as well. Another 3-for-1 for TKP.
And that wasn't even a clean fight right there for TKP. It seemed like Gamers 2 got the jump on them, and the fact that it's a 3-for-1 means there's a very real threat on the Baron here. There's just Lucian in the mid lane trying to lifesteal up a little bit. Shyvana's back in base. This could be a swing all the way back for Team Kappa Prime.
Ginsu is dangerously low, though. If it was Jinx on the other side, that'd be a dead jungler this instant. Yeah. But it's going to be the Baron going down. Take a look at the gold real quick. Suddenly, wow, I still got to say, the AD carry of G2 still holding a lot of gold, but an uncontested Baron, well earned by TKP, and they're still not even winning in gold with that.
Yeah, and need to figure out exactly how this fight happens. Villian got jumped on, but there wasn't necessarily the follow-up. Great knockback actually by Ginsu in the middle of the map, not allowing Ocelot to finish off Jinx as an AD carry. Then the fight just kind of extended for a little bit. No one was willing to deal with Mozilla on Trundle, so he could just wreak havoc in the backline, and it made things low enough so when Exile went in, he could trade for that double kill, getting his dash on both of them, getting a static Shiv proc, and then finishing off another one.
And pretty good stuff there. And of course, the follow through. I love getting a lantern like mid-fight so I can kill someone else. Like, I mean, starting a gank is nice, but you're like, oh my gosh, I get to catch up again. I get a move block as Jinx. Freaking awesome.
And there's no running from Trundle. The pillar chases down everything. That's the one thing I remember from back when I played a lot of Trundle in Season 1 was that once you started winning a fight, you definitely won that fight because you controlled the map so heavily with that pillar fill. It's now changed to like an ice. Pillar of ice, I think. It used to be pillar filth.
Yeah. Either way, and actually, we talked about resets a little bit before. Trundle has like the smallest reset ever. His passive, whenever something dies, gets some health back.
If he's on his W, that's one of the things that changed with the rework, I believe.
No, I think it's more healing on the W.
Ah, okay.
I think the passive was actually completely unchanged.
Excellent.
Yes.
It is tremendous.
Tiny reset for Trundle. Spirit Visit helps that too. Just saying.
He's going for that next.
Reset comp. It's here.
This is an incredibly dangerous time for gamers too. Even though, miraculously, we're thinking about this, they just lost a couple team fights, lost a Baron, they're down in turrets, but up 2,000 gold. A lot of about 1,000 to 1,500 of that comes from Dude's Targon's Brace. That thing shares a ridiculous amount of gold that gives you way more than the Talisman of Ascension does.
Yeah.
And then also, they're just farming better across the board. But those team fights, team fights from Team Kappa are working.
The team fights of the melee-heavy team completely are working, and I'm actually surprised to see that the melee team, who I feel like would be so easy to suck in with Orianna and like get AoE'd down, actually not a problem for these guys at all. So We've been spelling doom for G2 for a while, but they're actually winning. We got to keep that in mind. As far as gold's concerned, the Baron buff, though, giving TKP the confidence to try to push in. Not going to tower dive here. Going to put some damage in the turrets, though. 5 turrets down.
And when TKP decides to go in, there is no coming back.
No.
1 pillar, 3 melee champions, including Thresh, who he's like a fake melee, will all just be in the fight immediately. And it's really just Villian who has to fend for himself. Whenever they get the pillar, they have a chance of going in, but it's such a heavy commit that they're going to try and poke this safely.
That was kind of a weird culling actually right there from Yuki, but I like what the support here for TKP is doing. 6 is sitting there very far back, giving Zvilian a lantern like across a wall and saying, hit the turret. If Leona ults you, it's on top of you, just peace out. It's very easy for them to get away from these. I like that a lot.
And it's their only way of sieging this turret. Exactly. They do the trick again. Gamers 2 has to fall back because the turret was getting too low. And that would have been the time for a pillar initiation, and they're actually respecting it a whole bunch at this point.
Yeah, well played then by G2 to know their limits, to know to wait things out. And to be fair, they've bought enough time by sitting at the turret that Baron buff is down to 30 seconds here. Like, these guys did a very good job of you know, okay, we're behind, things are going kind of weird, we're still up 1,000 gold to be fair, and saying you've got to earn every single advantage you guys are getting. G2 still holding on to this game. Baron buff about the timeout. And now I feel like things kind of reset. Where as long as G2 knows that their gold's in good shape, and I feel like they should know this,
Oh, Mozilla.
they can make things happen.
Yeah, he's got to run.
All right, here we go. Morden is there, does not have... Of course, it's jungle Shyvana, so no Ruin King for him. No real catch there. It's a really easy run.
I feel like Gamers 2 didn't have enough knowledge of the whole map to know that they could fully commit on Mozilla. Normally, initiating on a tank of his stature would be a bad idea because the rest of the team would collapse in around it, but he was completely alone.
Yeah, you're right. But that's what happened, right? Like, TKP had control of the map for so long. There just was no time for
Gamers
rewards.
didn't know.
No, they had no way of knowing. Blue Trinket, they should have gotten blue trinkets.
Yep.
Wouldn't have given the kill.
Surprisingly, Gamers 2 has actually not changed many of their trinkets. They're still sitting on just the 1 sweeper. Usually at this point in the game, we'll see 2 or 3 sweepers just to try and get some of that ward control back, and it's just not happened here as Gamers has lost control of the map.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see if they can get it back in some way. There's not even a lot of heavy pink warding either. Like, there's one defensive one by TKP over by, like, their own Wraith camp. Like, the defensive pink ward, you know, make sure nothing's kind of going, you know, funky over there. But really, the map got dark in a fast few minutes. No one's really gone back for ward control yet.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that everyone's sitting on a bunch of full item builds or near full item builds. The only person with room for even a Sightstone is TKP's support right here, 6. So he doesn't want to sell his Dorn Shield either to get pink wards. They would literally have to upgrade their trinkets in order to get pink wards, and they have not done that yet.
No one's there's actually only one trinket upgrade in general. You've got the Oracle's upgrade here, 4/6. No one Viz champions, but just wanted the better ward sweeping. Can respect that. 475 gold for better ward killing. Why the heck not right here? Looks like TKP looking like they still want to play aggressively. They've got ward coverage of the enemy blue buff. JWoww not likely to steal this one. Who's going to get the blue buff here?
Very dangerous if we try. Did Ocelot?
I think they went to Trundle. No, went to Yasuo. Ocelot didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, you got a Q that can crit 90% of the time for about 800 damage. I feel like he'll last hit that successfully.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
And soon he will actually have a last whisper as well. Things are looking very good for Team Kappa Prime, but it does rely on that initiation being crisp. And now that Gamers is starting to respect that initiation after losing a couple fights because of it, we're turning ourselves into a very passive game. Gamers is hoping that TKP actually overcommits for one of these things.
We'll see if they do it. TKP's been reasonably safe in their movements. They went for Baron after winning a team fight, and no one was around for them. They've been happy to fight when it is time, though. Like, they are initiating with Trundle Yasuo. Like, you just have to be confident when you do that because you don't have any time to react. You just have to go all at once. And it looks like actually TKP, they are going to try. They find Ocelot. He's going to Zonia's right away, though. Where's the shotgun going to go? The engage is on from Leona. Yuki getting dropped dangerously low. GA pop right there. Sinja picking up 1 kill. What's going to happen to Exile, though? JWoww's going to pop the ulti. Not going to pick anyone down just yet. Ocelot goes down, and Exile is still alive. Double kill. Kills coming everywhere. TKP just destroying Gamers 2. And that is a 5-for-0 ace.
What a clean fight right there by Team Kappa Prime. They just brute force that initiation, but the synergy is so high between Trundle and Yasuo. Even with Ocelot Zonius, he was at 20% health. Then Exile just dashed around the fight, popped his GA, and I think this could be the game for Team Kappa Prime.
Well, 21 seconds until even Leona comes back up, all of them forcing themselves down there. Armor tanks tanking up the turrets. There's a means to remove the bonus armor from the backdoor bonus as well. And this is going to be the game. It's got to be TKP making it into the top 8. Ocelot not happy about this one. Gamers 2 falling down.
Huge upset, I have to say. Ocelot's challenger team does not advance